It's harder than you think. Hi, I'm Vince, the Magic the Gathering content creator equivalent of buying a brass bugle to accompany jokes about tooting in my bugler video from Amazon. I guess some of you could say I take this very seriously. This week I bring you a nice budget list. It's a good introduction to Modern as it's cheap, straightforward and proactive. It's marginally cheaper than Monowhite Death and Taxes if we leave out the Horizon canopies, and considerably cheaper than the 5-colour Humans alternative, both of which are clear upgrade paths for this deck. This means this isn't just some meme you buy into and get nowhere with, it's a viable entry point to the format that builds into two other wildly different decks. The paper price can be cut in half as well by skipping on the Aether Vials at first, although I would recommend them as your first upgrade to the list. Not only do they help with tempo, but they also help against wraths and counter magic. They also provide a solid format stable for you for modern decks and legacy decks in the future. The deck is called Mono-White Trumpet Man and the Quest for Modern, or just Mono-White Humans for those of you that hate creativity and fun. It's a white weenie deck in the strictest sense of the word. We are looking to deploy small white creatures that create a board so that is greater than the sum of its parts. All of our creatures are humans, or technically humans, so they all benefit from the tribal synergies of Champion, Lieutenant, Mimic and Automaton. We are playing 9 1-drop creatures, 15 2-drop spells that create creatures, and 8 3-drops. Our curve stops there, meaning the deck can function largely off only 3 lands in play. Aether Vial serves to help us cheat on mana by deploying our creatures quicker than we could by simply relying on our lands. Our little 1/1s and rather unimpressive 2/1s will grow to impressive sizes thanks to the Anthem and counter-production effects in the deck. For those of you who are newer to Magic and don't know, an Anthem is an effect that pumps or buffs your whole team's stats, like this guy, or this young lady over here. Champion is one of the best cards in our deck, and it grows with each and every human we deploy, whilst Lieutenant is an anthem on your existing bodies that sticks around even after death thanks to the counters being permanent, and then continues to grow herself if not dealt with to get quite ripped and quite swole. Beyond that, we have ways to buff in both Mimic and Automaton 2, and Abs and Valkyrie provides us with a way to turn our team into an aerial onslaught, flying over the top of ground dudes and blowing out people who are trying to race us and don't see it coming. Of course, the signature card of this week's deck, and well, the place that can make the most jokes, is Horny Boy over here. And if you're reaching for the comment section to tell me how this isn't a horn, I could not fucking care less. This Horny Boy allows us to avoid running out of gas, providing us a solid body whilst digging into the deck for that last lord to provide that final bit of reach. We're going to take a massive rip on that big brass end, bruv. That sounds really weird saying bruv. The point is, it's not a valued creature in the sense that we're going to grind people out. It is to find that last lord to make sure we can go wide enough to just kill them. The deck's biggest strength over its more expensive and mainstream big brother in 5-colour Humans is the consistency of a 1-colour mana base, no fear of Blood Moon, and a few more explosive draws thanks to Gather the Townsfolk. That said, beyond Thalia and Path to Exile, we don't have freebooters or meddling mages for as much disruption as the 5-colour version does, so we aren't as prone to just stomping all over combo decks unless we have one of the solidly fast draws. And to clarify before you start fucking commenting about it, I'm not saying this list is better than the conventional 5-colour nonsense that is dominating Modern at the moment. However, it is $1,000 cheaper in paper and has some aggressive draws that are faster, so there's a point worth making and something to consider. I'll discuss upgrade options for this deck and pathways into other decks a little later in the video. As always, this video is brought to you by MTG traders and Cape Fear Games, who sell digital and physical cards respectively. If you want to support the channel, you can make use of the discount code seen on screen now to get money off your orders. It's a win-win for all parties involved. In addition to that, be sure to press the like button beneath the video. It's free, it helps. If you don't do it, you're a petulant child. Aside from that, you can support by sharing the video with your local playgroups, upvoting me on Reddit when I show up, or if you're feeling particularly fruity, support me on Patreon. My largest Patreon contributors can be seen on screen right now. These beautiful people are helping me to justify devoting so much time to this channel. For just $2 a month, you can join us over on the Discord channel and make Vince a very happy man. We often brew decks, insult our friend Ape for being a degenerate Storm player, and generally have a jolly old laugh. So what are you waiting for? Our Johnny Hentai discussions await you. Help keep me in beard oil today by becoming a Patreon. Disclaimer, I don't use beard oil. I'm all natural, baby. 3 lands, 2 mighty champions, a removal spell, and 1 human lord that is definitely not a robot. We lead champ. You're gonna go far, kid. Our opponent fetches a basic mountain and suspends a fucking greater Gargadon. I make the assumption this is some off-color fetch, and this is some form of dredgy Vengevine deck, utilising Gargadon as a sacrifice outlet, but I'm not sure. We cast a second champion, the runner-up perhaps. I mean, you can't have 2 simultaneous champions at the same time, right? Maybe the champions are different things. Maybe one's a cake-eating champion, and the other one's just a champ for taking up the shitter. We begin the theme of this week, which is getting in. So yeah, we turn sideways and we get in. Island into Serum Visions confuses the shit out of me at this point, and I'm, well, very confused. We gather the townsfolk in order to buff both of our hot dudes for 2 each. Much like last week's solo video, our boys and girls this week are getting swole.
Son of a bitch. Huh?
We attack for 7 on turn 3 and represent lethal thanks to the adaptive human in our hand and have removal for a blocker. We're in a great spot here. He uses a fetch land and makes an Asphaltold and casts Balance. Ah, I see. I think I see what he's on now. You see, Restore Balance doesn't have a mana cost and thus can be cast for free off of Asphaltold under the current rules. Yeah, if that feels brutally unfair, it's probably because it is, but it's really cool. He then sacrifices all of his lands to the Gargadon, and then when Balance resolves, we're forced to not only sacrifice all our creatures, but also all of our lands. That's some strong synergy indeed, and leads to fucking massive blowouts.
Hey, that's pretty good.
We hit run a land into 2-drop and it gets bolted.
Sadness.
He balances again and we lose all of our lands. We lose 2 more lands here. The chance of us drawing into enough lands to actually apply pressure with 2-drops and 3-drops is pretty slim now. We hit 1 more land. He draws 3 cards for free with Ancestral from the Asphaltold. We draw a 1-drop creature. It promptly dies to Izzet Charm, cast off the Asphaltold for free in our turn. He draws 3 more cards. This is not looking good for us at all. We draw 1 horn-blowing bastard, but we have the mana and the path for his Greater Gargadon at least. However, naturally, as he's drawn a number of cards equal to the GDP of an affluent country, he has the Dispel in hand for the path. We get garged, draw shit all, and concede. Okay, that's not a good start to the league. It's at this point I realise an error in my deck construction as well. I've literally 0 artifact and enchant removal on the board. Whilst this is only a minor inconvenience for this matchup as I have nothing to destroy Asphaltold with, it means we literally cannot beat an ensnaring bridge with our current configuration. Please keep this in mind if you plan to take this for a spin at your local F&M. Even 1 or 2 disenchants or an Oblivion Ring style effect wouldn't go amiss to give us some form of out against bridge. In game 2 we have a serviceable 2-lander, but it feels a little slow and ultimately no 8th of our means we are just weak to another balanced draw from our opponent. We mulligan, find an average 6, but it has a Varl, so it's not terrible. We keep and scry Woeweeper to the top of the deck. So Woeweeper's in the deck as a 1-drop over Soldier of the Pantheon because in this current metagame the ability to randomly eat creatures out of the graveyard is more important than protection from multicolored spells. That could of course change and is open to discussion and also matters about your local meta, for example, as well. So here we go. In Vile we trust. Spire Bluff and nothing else from our opponent. We play a Mimic and name Human. In our opponent's turn he targets our beloved Vile with an Abrade.
No! God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Ultimately, this fucking sucks, but we activate it and make a woeful Reapery Man and just have to hope we don't get balanced out of the game again. We draw a Cham, but we leave with the second Mimic simply to use our mana as efficiently as possible, considering we could get balanced in a moment. Then we get in. He casts Asphaltold, we clench. This is truly 5p territory. Nothing. We breathe deeply and compose ourselves. We draw everyone's favourite steroid dealer and head down to the gym to distribute it to the lads. They all get a bit agitable and feel a little bit paranoid after using. Our team swings with smaller testicles but a faster clock. Get swole, bitch! Asphaltold ticks up and they cast a Chandra Torch of Defiance. Man, I fucking love that card. Then we see a balance. In all fairness, this makes sense. Our opponent is ensuring that they have an onboard threat before casting this balance. The reason being that they are about to discard 2 cards and sack 2 lands because of it. So whilst this isn't ideal for us, it isn't the worst as it's putting our opponent quite far behind. We draw another 1-drop, which is ideal. This is a sideboard card I brought in to give us ways to survive a Gargadon. I don't know if it's great here, but it might be better than the Woeweeper is that I started out in this matchup. Chandra can only deal with 1 dude at a time, and they opt to end the life of my champion. They then cast a Torpor Orb, which actually makes a lot of my cards very very bad. Luckily we drew a sweet card for the situation. It's 2 bodies, half an army in a can, gather the townsfolk. However, Roman just puts it back in our hand and we don't get to gather anything. We get in and opt to kill Chandra to cut off a source of card advantage. Our opponent plays another land and another as foretold. We get in for 1 and resolve to gather the townsfolk and they scoop it up. So we got there through balance, which feels really good. In game 3 we keep a curve that includes Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, that can actually help to delay a potential balance wrath by at least a turn. They suspend a Gargadan. We lead with Muktapi Face. Torpor Orb is a little frustrating for us as it decreases our clock considerably as Thalia's turn is now nothing but a 2-mana 1/1. We draw a Vial, which is in fine the matchup, but bad timing I guess, and we cast Thalia. Our opponent opts to main phase a Braidar Thalia whilst we are tapped out. We draw yet another 2-mana 1/1, so we play it and Vial needs must. They famously loot, then cast a Grim Lava Man, which is actually fucking nuts against us, especially the Torpor Orb turning off a lot of our anthems. However, better lucky than good, we draw Path. We play a human lord that definitely isn't a robot, honest. And we get in. He casts some Mana Monkey as a blocker, which is often very telling as to how far behind and under pressure a player is. We tap the Kong and get in, taking our opponent to 8. We play a champ and pass back. They loot, play a Needle, and in response we make another creature with a Vial, and they concede as we have lethal through the chump blocker. GG. I'm really fucking odd with this. In round 2 we have a hand with 4 1-drops. What's the worst that could happen? We lead, of course, with Vial, because in Vial we trust. Fetch, Basic Forest Noble. This smells like some sort of company deck to me. We cast Champ and Woeman and keep Gideon inside the Pokeball. He plays a 2-mana Machine Gun Bastard and guns down our Woe Reaper, and then they miss a land drop. Oh dear. Kithian, I choose you! Untap, draw a champ. We play it to pump our existing champ and slam in. Well, we try to, they scoop it up. Yeah. Yeah, they're not keen on our mass 1-drop draw. Interesting. In game 2 we have a hand that wouldn't look out of place in Death and Taxes. I keep it, it's certainly slow, but Vial plus a Cage gives us the edge against them if they are Coco or Cord deck. Birds of Paradise from our opponent, and unfortunately we cannot bowl his bird. We lead with Vial. They play a Devoted Druid, which means there's a risk of him getting infinite mana and machine gunning us to death with a Ballista in the future. I opt to Path the Vizier now, it lessens his available mana, but if we were to let him untap with it, he can keep up company for when we go for the Path, so then he can company, get the creature, go off, make infinite mana, call for the fucking recruiter, use the mana to shoot up Walking Ballista. You know, he can just do fucking dumb shit, so we have to path it now. Land drop and a Duskwatch recruiter from him. We violin Tappy Muktapason. We draw another 2-drop and I opt to keep tapping mana available this turn and play a second Vial. I'm unsure whether this is correct here. They recruit an end step and find a Tireless Tracker. We tap down the bird and upkeep, but he uses the mana from the bird to dismember our beloved Lawkeeper. Bastard. A tracker comes down, no surprises. No attack from the recruiter though, so we don't get to surprise him with a Thalia block out of the Vial, and we just flush it in an end step. We untap and we find a Valkana. Mimic comes down, naming human, and we get into the red zone, no blocks. And then our opponent casts a Worship, which is, oh shit. We might not be able to beat that. We need to draw runner removal spells for 3 turns in a row and him to have nothing to play. Once again, kids, I wish we had some form of disenchant or something similar in the fucking board that we could draw to in this game. So we Vile Flash in Lieutenant end of turn and we fail to draw a Path to Exile. Third Vile is almost never good in any Vile deck, so this is painful. We attack, we take them to 1, they play a second Worship. Okay, good. The fact that it isn't a creature is actually quite big for us. It helps us with our only out, which is just to draw like a fucking god. But we don't draw like a god. We don't draw any removal at all. Fuck. Fourth creature from them. We're still live though, as we have 3 Path to Exiles and a Declaration Stone out of the board. He plays a 5th creature. Although we draw a path here, it just doesn't fucking matter. We can't even get super lucky now, as we don't have enough removal. We cannot win, so we go on to game 3. This hand is almost keepable, but I want a faster clock where possible. This hand is considerably worse, and I immediately regret my decisions of mulliganing to it. They lead Bird, we lead Mimic on Human, they play a Knight of the Reliquary. Oh boy. We gather some locals and can't attack in, although that said, trading off wouldn't have been that bad here, so perhaps I should have threatened or offered an attack, as a knight will only be a 2-2 for a small window of time, and this could have just been some 3 points of damage. Bird's the word, bird number 2. We draw a 4th land and cast a Valkyrie to give our peasants flying. We get in for 4. Knight ramps our opponent in mana, and 4 mana, well, that means Coco. Noble and Vizier Remedies, he is 1 druid off of infinite mana. Machine Gun Bastard for 4 is pretty scary here too. He snipes on Mimic and then guns down a poor flying peasant. Brap, brap, what a bastard. The problem is that our Brave the Elements helps us to swing through or blank a Path to Exile, but Walking Ballista don't give a shit about that. We draw a horny boy, and yes, I know it's not a horn, but opt to cast this human lord that is totally not a fucking robot, okay, so stop asking if it is. Attack in the air, taking them to 7. They attack with a knight, we take 5, they play a second knight. We draw Declaration in Stone, our 5th sideboard removal spell, that's a number wang here. I'm quite hot on Declaration as an underused card in Modern. It deals with tokens from Lingering Souls and Empty the Warrens and Young Pyromancer very efficiently, and in other circumstances it can provide a 2-for-1 or better if your deck has an adequate clock to make the clue tokens largely irrelevant. However, I am aware that the downside can be rather large. In this instance, for example, Dismember, Condemn, Bless the Lights or Sunlance as an alternative would be okay. The problem here is that giving our opponent card draw increases their chances of stumbling into Worship or just infinite mana, which we can't deal with at present time. I get into the red zone and a block where the bird comes over, as expected. Before damage, he grows his bipedal artillery with the mana that he can sink into it. We decide to deck the knight to avoid being killed on the crack back next turn, allowing us to potentially win with a Brave the Elements attack that they cannot block next turn. They untap, crack 2 clues instead of dumping mana into the ballista to kill our aerial threat and buy him a turn, and then scoops it up. Sometimes giving your opponent the ability to draw more cards in exchange for mana will make them misplay. GG Clue E. In round 3, another bloody double Vile Hound is tilting, but I keep it. This is very close to a mulligan as it has very little pressure, but a turn 1 Vile may end up being nuts versus a control deck, so we keep it. Boys and girls, the first format boogeyman of the league, it's Tron, Mind Star and passing back. I draw one of our many 1-drops. Never didn't have it. We cast a Mimic and then I misclick a name Warrior. Oh, fuck. Literally just hastily clicked the wrong creature type in the dialogue box. Sometimes I have to give myself a handicap, you see, by being so unbelievably bad at this game because I'm just so good at it. Like an oxymoron. Or just a moron. At least our opponent will be mildly confused by Monowhite Warriors. They crack star stirrings and find another mine. Unlucky. Map and pass. We Vile in our Warrior, never punished. We draw a Kithian that can't be pumped by this Mimic now as he is a human soldier, so I guess we're mildly punished. We opt to deploy the Valkyrie and get all up in their grill for 5. Map is cracked for tower and our opponent casts a Relic of Progenitus. We keep a Vile on 2 hoping for a 2-mana lore, but instead we draw the next best thing, Ghost Quarter. Sorry Tronny boy. I clock in for 8, play Kithian and pass. To avoid a random Tron assemblage into Ugin, we Ghost Quarter his tower and upkeep. They play another tower, a star and a stirrings, then scoop it up. We keep an aggressive curve with no sideboard hate like Stony in it in game 2. They lead mine into star, we go basic planes into champ. Oh, and we drew a Stony, which is nice. They Stirrings off of a star, find a map and cast it. They can assemble Tron next turn with a map or just natural into it. We have a choice between a 1-drop and a Ghost Quarter or Stony, so I choose Stony as it helps us find more dead cards in their hand potentially, is more effective the earlier it comes down, and if his plan is to Tron into O-Stone, it just stops that altogether as well. And I slap him for 1 damage. Gotcha. Another power plant from our opponent. Our opponent passes back. Their map is left, well, stony silent. I got him! We draw a second Stony, I lead Mardu, Warupa and keep up Ghost Quarter. Attack is thwarted by Spatial Contortion though, so good night, sweet prince. We Ghost Quarter in draw step in case he has drawn all the basics. The freshly drawn green mana unlocks and it's claiming our opponent's hand and we lose the Stony Silence. They then map for a mine. I slam another Stony and swing for a mighty 2 damage. Another forest from them and little else. We draw a champ and cast it. We play Lieutenant but our Warupa gets contorted to death. Next turn he could just straight up cast a Worm Coil off of 6 lands, but luckily we have Path and the ability to fly overhead in hand. We gather the townsfolk, make our creatures big old bastards, and slam them down to 9. Machine Gun twat bag from our opponent on 2, leaving 2 mana up for some reason. Probably a claim is the read I've got here. We Path the end step and he claims. Called it. But possibly misclicked here and he claims his own fucking Ballista. Oh boy, wow. Wow, we are. We draw another Gather, get roided and slap them to death. GG Peasant E. Kenobi. Peasant Kenobi, get it? It's like Pleasant Kenobi, but I'm playing Pauper or some shit. Maybe I should play some Pauper on the channel at some point. Anyway, let's talk upgrade paths real quickly. So the simple way to improve the actual deck is the mana base and sideboard. The mana base could benefit from some Cavern of Souls to give the control decks a harder time, and 4 copies of Horizon Canopy in order to allow us to dig our way out of Flood. The upside of those improvements is that both Cavern and Canopies are playable in many other decks, including the 5-colour variant of this deck that currently sits in the top tier and is pretty good. On top of that, being able to increase our budget could give us access to Surgical as a more immediate graveyard hate plan, or if Dredge or Vine decks are dominant in your local metagame, just pack 4 copies of fucking Leyline and put your middle finger up and say, you know what mate, fuck you. Aside from that, you can then transition into Death and Taxes for a few more bucks, or across to Humans. Humans is a tier 1 deck right now and very competitive. The problem is I feel that the deck will just get better and better as time goes on and more humans are printed. This means that one day it will face heavy scrutiny and perhaps even a ban to neuter it. What would I ban? I haven't the foggiest if I'm honest, and I don't think it needs any bans now. The deck is arguably very fair. I guess Meddling Mage, Freebooter or Mantis Rider are obvious ways to weaken the deck if it become too much of the metagame percentage and we're just winning too many things. Again, to clarify, that's not the case now, but it could be as more humans are printed. Alternatively, kids, I have a lot of content on the channel for differing versions of Death and Taxes, which plays a much more interactive and almost controlling playstyle than the linearity of Humans. If you like locking people out of the game or flicker whispering for intricate plays and value, D&T is the deck for you. Click the cards in the top right hand corner now of the screen to see a selection of Death and Taxes videos from me. Anyway, you fuckers, let's get back to tooting and booting. For the record, we're about to go into round 4 and we haven't tooted once. This hand seems super aggressive but is ever so slightly clunky. I keep it anyway. Champ, go. Oh, it's Tron. Again, tower map. We untap and play a Mimic and get in. They play a Ghost Quarter and a map. And a second map. Wow, that's a lot of fucking hot air, but not much gas at present. I slam Kithian into Steroid Lady and get my fucking rage on. We're representing lethal damage next turn. Stirrings finds a mine and they scoop it up. Too fast for Tron. Get wrecked, lol. In game 2, with 2 lands, dudes, things that make dudes swole, and of course, 1 horny bugger. We need a champ after they play a sphere off a mine, relic and map from our opponent. We gather a collection of townspeople and start to slam in. They assemble Tron and play another relic. We are in squeaky bum territory now. Our arseholes are clenched tight like a small penny, or perhaps even a 5p piece. We really don't want to see Ugin or Oblivion Stone on our opponent's next turn. I feel like I need to commit more to the board in order to ensure that we get in for lethal. The horny boy can bugle our way back into gas if we don't see a Wrath. The problem is that if I don't deploy more and he doesn't Wrath, we give him another turn to draw a Wrath. I'd rather shorten his clock but still have some gas to follow up with. For that reason we play Kithian and a Lieutenant and swing for 10. We clench. Oh, Fuck, it's O-Stone. He blows up the world. We deploy our first trumpet man of the league. Honk if you're horny, lads. Hey. You don't have to be a lad to honk either. Any of you can honk. I'm an equal opportunity honkist. We find Valkana. We use the ghost quote we drew last turn to turn off Tron. We go for the mine because there's a logic to this. If we blow up a non-tower option, it means that if they use the tower for mana to, for example, produce a map and crack it, we are lessening the mana available after deploying the last Tron piece. If we blow up a mine here and they use their available lands to tap and find a mine, the tower would produce 3 mana at the end of the sequence, where a mine would produce 2. It's a minor thing, but it's still important. Then our opponent should be using their tower here instead of their mine to cast Sylvan Scrying. This worked even though in this circumstance they had enough lands to not fall for it and not play into that. So yeah, got him. Scrying grabs a power plant and they play the swag daddy himself, Thraggy T. It's just a shit Palaka worm really. I explained the logic behind that comment as well, the mathematical fucking facts behind it in a debate video that is linked in the description below or in the cards to this video. You should watch it. You should watch all my stuff twice. We play a Valkana and a Woeful Warrior, and for the first time in forever we pass the turn without attacking because of this beast-like brick wall. Not only is this sadness, this probably indicates that we're losing the game and the advantage bar is firmly on their side of the field. They cast a Khan, exile our Valkana, we draw a Stony and we skip it up. Proof that Stony is only good against Tron in the early turns and it's fucking terrible in the mid to late game as a top deck to stabilise with. In game 3 we mulligan a 1-lander into a serviceable 2-lander with removal, a curve from 1 drop to 2 drop, and a Stony Silence. We bottom a land and we lead with a champ. Oh boy. Our opponent plays a map, which is fucking great for us. We Stony them and they play a natural second Tron land. It's clench time again, guys. Fucking hell, Jesus Christ. We play a human lord who is totally not in disguise, honest. Champ gets pumped, smash face. Right, it's time to clench. We have the option of 2-drop and a firing off quarter here, but that could have opened up a claim to our Stony. This maximises damage output and doesn't give him green mana. Fucking yes. No natural Tron for you. Do not pass go. Do not cast a 7-mana fucking Planeswalker on turn 3. We draw a land and we make a voided up personal trainer. We go to combat and put our tiny balls in that Tron player's mouth. Draw step, we ensure we don't get Troned and blow up his mine. Same logic as previously discussed. GG, get fucked, Tron E. Now, all jokes aside, don't get salty and hate on people for what they play. Please remember, it's fun to rag on Tron players and Boggles players, oh, and Dredge players too, because they're fucking scumbags, but only if they're in on the joke. Assess the room, take into account your audience, and make jokes if people are up for it. Don't make people feel uncomfortable. Also, don't be a salty little whinge bag who won't play against Turbo Fault players because they negate my Revenant Riches. It literally does nothing. Why would you negate it? And all that sort of shit, alright? No one wants that. We're all here to enjoy Magic in different ways. We all have bad matchups and there will always be decks you feel are cheesier than others. Grow up and learn to deal with it, otherwise avoid competitive Magic. Or at least offer constructive talking points about how absurd certain decks like KCI for instance are. What I'm trying to say is there is a clear distinction between 3 separate camps. There's the salty little shitwaffles who need to shut the fuck up. There's having a bit of banter within community, running jokes that people get and understand and enjoy, and legitimate discussion of decks that might be unhealthy for a format. Let's please not cross those streams. Anyway, we all know there's only one true Tron deck in the format. Before we get into round 5 though, it's time for the community engagement question of the week. Last week I asked, what is your favourite tribe and why? Albert Price said, my favourite tribe is wanking with a limp dick. I don't win, but I still play it all the time. Well done, Albert. I'm impressed by your comment and your dick. I respect your conviction and your dedication. This week's question. If you had to unban and ban one card in Modern, what would you choose and why? Be creative and I'll read out my favourite or I'll select a couple next week. Anyway, you bunch of lovely tarts. Let's get on with it.
Final round.
1-land Vile hand? Well, you know what they say. In Vile we trust. Oh, speaking of modern bans, looks like we have some Hollow One nonsense on its way in. We draw a second land but opt to keep up path rather than deploy bodies. Goblin Lore makes this Flameblade shitbag a considerable amount of damage, so we just path the fucking thing away. End of turn, Champion of Parish, I choose you. We attack and make a Lieutenant to roid up before damage and keep up this other path. Bloodgust and Gurmag for our opponent, followed by another Adept. We path the Gurmag to clear a path to our opponent's face. Boys and girls, it's time to toot if you're horny. 2D McTuderson finds another member of the Rusty Orchestra. I kept mana up in case we found another steroid bastard, but we didn't. However, I then just forget to cast this Mimic before combat, missing 2 points of damage. Whoops. I then forget to cast in the second main phase as well, because magic is hard. Our opponent Goblin Lores attacks for a bunch, then brings back a Flamewake Phoenix and a Bloodghast. We get to toot again, and find a Lord. Upon revealing it, our opponent has seen quite enough tooting for one day, and toots it up. In game 2, my hand looks solid. The more I play the deck, the more I seem to always side in Lore Keepers against the majority of the format, and wonder if they should be in the main over a number of Woe Reapers or perhaps even one of the Kithians. What do you guys think? Our opponent decides to roll the dice and lay himself upon the altar of RN Jesus. Burning Inquiry ends up binning 2 Hollow Ones. Haha, that'll teach him.
No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man.
Unfortunately for us, we lost plenty of good cards in that exchange as well, and ended up with almost nothing but lands. We lead with Champ. Champ dies to Bolt, we play a Lieutenant, we get Flamewaked in the fucking face. We draw another 1-drop and cast a Brass Blowing Bad Boy. Why I do this post-combat, I will never know, so we miss a point of damage because of this. We do get to find another personal trainer in Tharley's Lieutenant though, which is good. It seems like my 5th game of every league that I record seems to be a lot worse gameplay-wise and tight sequencing than the earlier ones, so I think I generally get fatigued. Our opponent attacks for 2 and plays a Grim Lava Bastard. Before we untap, Lieutenant number 1 eats a Bolt. We play a Woe Reaper, eat a Hollow One, and then cast a Lieutenant. We get in with Vigilance. They attack back with Phoenix and then shoot our Woe Reaper in their turn. We draw and play a Mimic and attack for 5, but he fetches and pushes our Bugler. This feels bad. Goblin Lore is cast and they make short work our 2/2 Steroid Head with Lavamancer. We draw Gather the Townsfolk, which is actually a solid draw here. We cast it making 2 2/2s. We attack for 2. We get attacked in the air and Lavaman kills a peasant. We untap, draw another fucking land and activate our Dunes. We swing, but Ancient Grudge kills our Mimic. Faithless Looting puts a second Phoenix in and we take 4. We draw another land and we get our only creature killed by the Grimmy. Oh, this is so bad. We finally draw a 1-drop that could have been good perhaps 15 fucking turns ago, and we die. I feel like we lost that to the turn 1 Burning Inquiry, which is, yeah, that's fun magic, guys. In game 3, we get criminally unlucky as our opponent just goes off and has the fucking stone cold tits. We lead Woe Reaper, they lead Street Wraith cycle into Faithless, pitching double Grudge and casting 2 Hollowed Ones.
Be the bad man.
The disgusting thing is that 2 of our 3 creatures in hand died to these fucking grudges. This might have just been one of the best draws they could have had against us, perhaps shy of missing the 3rd or 4th fucking Hollow One to really get there and really rub salt in the wound. We draw Path and decide to sandbag it as we try to develop our board. Again, we can't attack, and that's when we know we're losing. We have to be the aggro deck. They fetch up green mana on attack. I block with Mimic to save some life total, just using them to pad out my life whilst we draw into more of a strong board presence that can oppose this 8 power our opponent made on turn 1. Remember kids, next time your opponent makes 2 4/4s on turn 1, just sing to yourself, let's keep Stoneforge Mystic Band in Modern. Also, John the Baptist told me he fucking hates this jingle, so I'm just going to play it again one more time to wind him up. Let's keep Stoneforge Mystic Band in Modern. Ah, fuck it. 3rd time's the charm, right? Let's keep Stoneforge Mystic Band in. Anyway, Zombie Fish. We draw another Bugler, but without a VAR, these 3 drops are making our board presence clunky as fuck. We play a Mimic, it dies, they attack, we block and path, but it feels like the game is very much over. They push the Warrior prior to blocks, we take a load of damage to the face. His hand was fucking incredible against ours this match, and there's little we could have done other than perhaps Mulligan to Rip, but that would have been bad against the Hollow Ones. That's one of the deck's strengths with the Hollow One deck, is that whilst it utilises the graveyard, sometimes the Hollow Ones just take you by surprise, shit on you, steal your shoes, and fuck you in the mouth. Even with a Rip draw. GG Hollow 1E. So, in conclusion, we tooted a little bit. I think the Monowhite Humans builds are rather straightforward and viable. They can be fast enough to beat up on combo and decks like Tron, but might get brickwalled by Hollow One and Dredge and other go-wide creature strategies. But with a slightly better sideboard plan and less budget, you can show up the weaknesses witnessed in this league here, with Surgicals, for example, or some form of disenchant effect, or namely Horizon Canopy to help against Flood. I'm pretty happy with the 4-1 with the deck, and I would recommend the deck to anyone who wants an entry point into Modern to dip their toe into the format, as it builds into a tier 1 competitive deck that PTQ grinders will tell you, with a straight face, is objectively the best deck in the format whilst they lose whilst passing it against Dredge or some other degenerate nonsense combo. It can also build into Death and Taxes and its multiple variants, which is easily the most fun in the format if you like tricksy bullshit and being a bit of a hipster. Make sure you leave a comment telling me what you would like banned in Modern, or tell me what deck you want to see me pilot in future so I can get a grip on what the community wants to see. If you haven't got much to add, you can always just toot in the comment section below if you're feeling a little bit horny. Let's be honest, you've been watching me, so you probably have been. I stream every Monday at 7 PM BST and upload gameplay almost every single fucking week on YouTube. Become my Patreon so I can quit my day job and do this full time and make more content. I've been Vince, and yes, I'm probably the most handsome man you've ever seen put a flicker wisp in off of an aether vial. Until next time, think of me as you kiss your significant other goodnight, and ta-ta for now. My beard tastes like grass.